This is my 2016 Scrambler Flat Track Pro. Giving a little walk around and review of it. I've had this bike just about a year. I'm the original owner. I've got 1,000 miles on it so far. I usually put more miles on a bike, but have not been able to this year. But enough to get some good impressions of this bike. For this review, I'm using this external mic. The model is ETM 008. Edutige is the brand. And what I'm going to do is talk about the bike right now, and then I'm going to mount the mic inside the tank bag and hopefully capture some good engine sounds. This is my 15th bike. I've been riding about 30 years. The last bikes that I owned were a Harley Dyna, Super Glide, Super Motard. I've had a Hyper Motard, some dual sports, been riding dirt bikes, also owned an R6 and a Ducati 996. Ridden lots of bikes like GS's, ridden the RT, test ridden a lot of bikes. Some things that I like about this bike, actually I'm going to talk about the things, get the minor things out of the way that I'm not crazy about on this bike. They're pretty well known and documented. First is the seat. I've been riding about 30 miles today. I wear these pants. These are Klim, I believe the name is. And I started wearing a pair of basketball shorts under them. That's increased the comfort of the seat a little bit, surprisingly. But I am going to get a Corbin Gunfighter solo seat. So the seat does need improvement. It's not horrible, but after about 20 or 30 miles, you're wishing for something more. I do like the way it looks. Good quality, everything. I think it fits the bike well. Next is the suspension. Been thinking a lot about what I think about the suspension, and the suspension is firm. I've noticed guys have either put a shock on it or had the forks rebuilt. I am going to keep this stock suspension for most of what the riding that I do. It's fine. It is firm suspension, and the only place that I really don't like it is on the interstate, about 70 plus miles an hour, 65. If you hit a bump, you got to be paying attention, because you need to be coming off. You need to raise up off the seat a little bit and prepare for any bumps at high speed. I've been thinking a lot about the suspension, and the thing about it, why I'm satisfied with it, is it doesn't get out of shape. It stays composed. Even though it's really firm, the bike doesn't get out of shape. So that's why I've decided to leave it stock, and I think it just adds to the character of the bike. It helps maintain that raw feeling of Ducatis. That's one of the reasons that I like this brand. So really the seat and the suspension are the only gripes I have about the bike. The positives about the bike are many. There's the mid-range grunt on it is fantastic. The corner exit, it just squats and grunts out of a corner just amazingly. It has great visibility. The ergonomics, the way that you sit on the bike, it's just great from a visibility standpoint. I love these pegs that came stock on the bike. They're a really burly peg, allows you can stand up on it if you want. I did test ride the Icon when it first came out. I test rode it back to back with a KTM 690, a bike that I'd always wanted. And I came away very disappointed with the Icon that I test rode. The things that I hated about it were The grips were, I thought they were uncomfortable. I know that's a small thing, but it all added up to a deal breaker for me buying it when it first came out. The foot pegs were really slippery and just were not comfortable standing up. The seat was uncomfortable. The on-off throttle of the demo mode I rode was horrible, and it was an absolute deal breaker for me, and I thought it would actually felt a little bit dangerous. But a year later, the salesperson let me test ride a full throttle, and I noticed that the throttle was actually a little bit better. And then I really fell in love with this Flat Track Pro, and he let me ride this one, and the throttle is as friendly and relaxed throttle as I've ridden on a bike. It's super predictable. It builds power great. You can stand up, give it on-off throttle, and doesn't have any of that whiskey throttle feeling, the on-off like the original one, like the Icon that I rode. I like the way this bike has a predictable power delivery. When you're giving it heavy throttle, it's very predictable. Bike grabs the road really good. As far as wind blast, I like a naked bike better. I like the clean air better than buffeting. And I've used earplugs before, but I've never used earplugs on this bike. And I put these in today, and I'm wearing them with a Schuberth helmet, and it really changed the comfort on this bike. I was really surprised how much the earplugs just made this bike more comfortable. The wind blast is not bad at all. I'll take anything over buffeting. Like the power, let's see, the brakes, clutch, transmission, those are all really good with no complaints. I can find neutral very easy. The mirrors are pretty good. And overall, it's just a wonderful bike. I really do like it. It's super versatile. I've taken it just on easy gravel roads. Handles well, it's predictable, it's a really fun bike. I look forward to riding it. One thing, it's a super easy bike to live with. Moving it around the garage, you know, I'm short, I'm 5'6", 29 inseam, and it's a super easy bike to just move around in the garage, and you know, at stoplights, it's a non-intimidating bike, but it still has that Ducati raw, those characteristics that I like about the brand. Plus, I thought it was reasonably priced for with the pipe and everything. I think it's a pretty decent value for the money right now. Not wonderful value, but I think it's a pretty good bike. If I were to sell it, what would I buy? Like some of the bikes that I like the R9T. I've ridden that. This feels a lot different than that. I kind of feel they're not really comparable that much. I really like a Harley Road King. I probably won't get into other bikes that much. Just talk about this one. I'm fine with the fuel. I usually just set the trip meter after I usually just set the trip meter 1 after I get gas, and about 100 miles, a little over 110, I have to start looking for a gas station. I'm really not going to change anything other than the seat. I like the way it is stock. So I'm going to try to capture some good engine sounds with it. I'm going to mount my mic inside my Wolfman tank bag. Maybe that will capture the sounds good. I'm remounting the mic inside my helmet and hopefully give some impressions about this bike when riding it on gravel, some things that maybe I might forget, and talk about just characteristics on gravel. Now, when talking about the throttle, see, I think on the original Icon I rode, I wouldn't be able to do this low speed. And the throttle, you see how it's not jerky. I think I'm in first gear. So the throttle on this Flat Track Pro is super friendly. One thing I like about this bike, like I said, I'm only 5'6", but I can stand up. My arms are fully extended, but I can ride gravel a long time in this stand-up position. It's really comfortable with the Burly stock pegs that come on it. The grips that come on the Flat Track Pro are super comfortable. And one thing, just an observation, this one is assembled in Italy. Some of them I think are in Thailand, but just one thing to note about this one is that it is. There aren't any irritating things really about this bike as far as from a vibration standpoint. My right hand was a little numb by the time I got here after 30 miles. 15 of it was on the interstate, the rest was just back roads. I think about every bike at my right hand falls asleep, so it's not really an issue. These tires are somewhat predictable in the gravel. They're decent. I've owned a few dirt bikes, KTM 200s, KDX 200. Overshot that. Glad nobody was coming. Clutch pull, very easy. I like where it engages. That's something good about the bike. It's a fun bike to ride. I love the seating, handlebar relationship, position, ergonomics. At the end of my knees, it's all just really comfortable and just overall an easy bike to live with. I've owned other bikes that just don't have that, and I think it's overlooked a lot of the times, just from a price, ownership, just an overall satisfaction. I think they just nailed it with this bike. The second I got about a mile into my test ride, I knew that this was the bike that I'd been waiting for. I had a Hypermotard 1100 Evo SP, and this is the bike that I kind of wish that bike was. I love the Hypermotard, but it didn't allow me to relax. This bike allows me to relax when I ride, and you can I think that's hard to build into characteristics of a bike, is a bike that you can thrash and then also relax on.